morning everyone, welcome back to my kitchen. So today what I'm going to do is show you guys real quick how I can up my leftover soups. When I make soup here on the farm, I make a big pot of soup. So that way it feeds the family that night, and then I can it, like you've seen in my other videos, and have just a jar of soup ready to go. So come with me and we'll show you how I do it. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is turn your oven on to 200, and we're going to sterilize our jars. So we're going to take these jars and we're going to put them on a cookie sheet because it makes it a little bit more stable. And we're going to let them heat up in the oven. And once it reaches 200, I'm going to start a timer, and then that's going to go for 10 minutes. So 10 minutes in the oven at 200 degrees will sterilize your mason jars for canning. So there it goes. Just like that. So while my oven is preheating and the jars are sterilizing, I'm going to turn my soup onto low so that it starts to warm up a little bit. Because when we pull our jars out, we want to pour hot liquid into a hot jar. Because if you have cold liquid going into a hot jar, or vice versa, a hot liquid in a cold jar, that glass is going to want to break. It stresses the glass out and it's not good. And right now mason jars are hard to come by and they're expensive, so we want to avoid that as much as possible. So we're going to heat this up. I also have my canner here with water in it. I've already filled it up to the right amount. You want, I think it says 3 quarts for this pot. Every canner is going to be a little bit different, so make sure you read your instructions and find out what's appropriate for canning whatever size jars you're looking for. Alright, so I'm going to turn this on to about medium-high to get that water heated up so that it's, again, hot liquid into a hot jar, into a hot bowl of water. Alright, so we'll let that all set and let it simmer and let everything warm up. Alright, so my timer has gone off, my jars are done. However, my big pot of soup is so big that it didn't heat up yet. So, what we can do is leave the jars in the oven for now. It is safe, we'll keep it at 200, they'll stay hot. You can kind of, I don't know if you can see on the video, but my water is starting to steam a little bit here in my canner, which is good. I just need this to get warmed up because, again, we don't want cold soup going into a hot jar. Things will crack. We don't want that. It would waste your soup, it would waste a jar, and waste some money. So, save some money, wait for everything to heat up. I'm going to turn my canner down just a smidgen, and we'll wait for this to heat up some more. Alright, we are back. My soup is hot, my pot is hot, my jars are hot, everything's hot. Now it's time to get things out of the oven. As always, forgive my messy, messy kitchen. Between running a farm, raising 3 kids, the school, the extra activities with school, basketball, everything. Sometimes things fall through the cracks, like cleaning the oven. It's very dirty. Please don't look too closely at it. Alright, so these jars are hot. Use your jar grabber, pull them out. Also, it is a weekend day, so if you guys hear my kids running through the house being crazy, they are being kids. They have too much energy sometimes. It's what happens. Alright. Close that up. And I'm going to move you closer. I'm going to move my pot of soup a little bit closer to my jars, and we're going to start ladling things in. Okay, so we're back. I've got my hot jars, hot soup. Everything's ready to go. I'm going to try and stay out of your view as much as I can. So the things you're going to need: a ladle, a funnel, your jar grabbers. All these things are essential to get your soup, or whatever it is you're canning, into your jars. It's a messy business. That's why I have my canning dish rag underneath it. It's been beat up and loved for so many years. There's so many dribbles that have gotten onto it and stained it. I think my husband even used it for something outside, but this is all it gets used for now, is to sit underneath my jars as as I can up whatever it is I'm canning. So, jellies, soup, pie, it's all very messy. And in this way I don't have to worry too terribly much about how dirty things get. Alright, so this is somewhat of a boring process, so through the magic of editing, hopefully, I am going to speed all this up and make it go zoom, 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 zoom. Alright? See you on the flip side. I forgot to tell you what soup I'm canning. So this is a Hodgepodge soup. So there's the carcass left over from Thanksgiving dinner, and some chicken bits and carcasses that we had in the freezer, and a guinea fowl that was naughty on our farm and kept chasing all the other animals, so he got put into the freezer as well. So it's kind of a tri-bird soup here. Turkey, chicken, and guinea. And it tasted pretty good. I was a little heavy with the pepper this time. I have a hard time following any recipes. I just kind of throw things together. And it always tastes different, and it drives my family insane, because sometimes we'll love it, and they'll say, oh, remember how you did this? And I don't know how I did it even after doing it. So, that's what you get sometimes. Close to the end now, or at least what'll fit in my canner. I can fit 7 quart jars into my canner at one time, so that is my limit of what I can do all at once. However, this pot makes a lot more than that. So, I've still got some left in my pot. I'm gonna move it out of my way. Put it back over here on the stove is fine. Just kind of tuck it away. And now we're gonna work on these jars. We'll try and get it to where we can see everything. So I'm done with my funnel for now. Nope, we're gonna move the camera. There we go. Okay, so what we're gonna do next is we're gonna clean off the rims. So you wanna take some paper towel, and you're just gonna wipe down your rims, so just in case any of those messy dribbles ended up on top of it. So far I've done pretty good. This one I think was a little messy. Even if you don't think you did any dribbles, wipe it down, because when you put that canning lid on there, you wanna have a good seal, a good connection. So you're gonna take your lids, set them all on top, now if you're new to canning, your lids probably came with your jars. I don't reuse lids. I used to, but I had issues with them sealing, so I stopped. And now I'm buying extra lids. I'm very specific about what lids and jars I use because of how they seal. Alright, now I do reuse rings. So these rings are very old. They've been used for many different projects. Now you don't want them too tight, but you don't want them too loose. So it's what they call finger tight. So you don't want to crank down really hard on it, but you want it to be snug. One more here. Sorry if I'm all up in your way. Alright, now they're ready to go into the canner. So follow me. Alright, we're going to use our grabber again, and we're going to grab up our jars, and put, unless I drop it, and put them into the canner. Now the hood of my stove up here is, it's a little low for my taste, so I kind of have to angle things in to make them fit into the into the canner. I would much prefer to be able to just do things straight in, but you gotta work with what you got. And what I got is a really old kitchen. Our farmhouse was built in the 1940s and added on to and added on to and added on to. And it's one of the things that honestly, it's really one of the things I love about this place is that everything is almost a little bit of a hodgepodge. So I think our kitchen was remodeled sometime in the 70s, I would say. So this is made for 1970s cooking, which isn't always great for 2021 cooking. But it works. Alright, now I'm going to grab my lid. Now on mine, it has a really cool little feature. Can you see it? Let's see. It says open and close and it has a little arrow. And that points to this arrow on my handle. So there's only one way that this lid will fit on. And then you rotate it to close it. Oops, sorry, I don't know if you saw that. Open, close it, and it locks in. Now for poultry soup, chicken soup, anything like that, you want to do a pressure can, so you have your little pressure wobble on it, and I have 10 pounds of pressure sitting on my wobble. So we have to turn that heat up. I've turned it up to high, and once this starts and wobble, 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 I'll take another clip of when it's doing that. Then I'm going to turn the temperature down a little bit to about a medium high. So it's a nice wobble, but it's not too excessive. Alright, and then it's going to sit there and wobble for another 25 minutes. So we'll let that heat up and get up to pressure, and we'll be back. Alright, so this is about the wobble that you want on your pressure canner. So I'm going to turn it down. On mine, it's about a 7-ish, and that's going to help hold it at that wobble. And you want it to go for 25 minutes. So I'm going to set my timer for 25 minutes. And it's loud and it's annoying, but when you don't have to cook that night and you just pull out a jar of soup, it makes all that noise worth it. Alright, we'll see you at the end when we pull everything out. So the timer just went off. It's time to turn this off, turn the heat off, and you're going to remove it from the heat altogether. Ooh, isn't that pretty? That's so lovely when it gets hot and all the gross things come out. Alright, so from here we're going to wait for this to finish settling down. You have to wait for the pressure to release naturally. You don't want to take the top off. You don't want to try and open it before it's ready because there is so much pressure in that pot that it can do some damage. So let it do its thing, let it chill out on its own. This little upper up thingy is going to pop down. It takes it a while. It could take up to an hour. But you want to let it do its thing on its own because seriously, bad things will happen. So leave a be. We'll come back when it's all done. Alright, so we're back. The little button has dropped, which means our pressure has released from the canner. So now it's very hot still. Use your gloves. We're going to unlock the lid, lift it up. A little bit of condensation always dribbles out. I'm going to set this over in my sink. And now we're ready to pull out some of our jars. So again, my hood is really low. I really wish that I could just lift straight up and out. Kind of like that. There we go. Now these are going to be bubbling and boiling for quite some time after you pull it out. They are going to be very hot. You do not want to touch them or mess with them. They say for about 24 hours you want to let them just sit on their own. I don't usually have 24 hours to let it just sit. So we will, once it's cooled down, ooh, that one's really going, look at that. Once it's cooled down enough for me to handle things, I label the tops of them, and then they go into the pantry. And our pantry is getting so full right now that might actually be back into a box for the mason jars, and it gets stacked underneath the table. Alright, so there's all our jars. You want to let them sit. The tops, if you listen really carefully, my dishwasher's running, so it might not be able to hear it on the camera, but you can hear them start to ping. You don't want to sit and tap them and make them ping, because that's going to give you a false seal. So you let them sit and you let them boil. I'm waiting for a ping. Maybe. Maybe. Someone ping! Alright, so once they cool down, you can take your rings off and you can check the seal of the lid. So you can try and lift it by the lid and see if the lid comes off, then you didn't seal right and you want to reprocess it. If it stays on, then you're good to go. Label it, put your date on it. I've made the mistake of not dating some things that I've canned, and you never know how old it actually is. So always remember to date it. That way you know when it was made and which batch it was. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Hit the like button, hit subscribe, and follow us for some more fun antics here on the farm. We'll see you next time.